Welcome to the Pack, your gateway to the world of Patricia Briggs and the Mercyverse, where shifters, vamps, and fae rule. Magic hums just beneath the surface, and danger is always one heartbeat away. Now, let's run with the Pack. Here are your hosts.
You know, that's kind of the way I felt yesterday. I kind of had that kind of feeling going on about me, kind of a grouchy day that the missus reminded me of. But today, I feel awesome. I'm Greg. I think I am. Joining us on the Pack, it's Hasna. Say hello.
Hello.
Hello. And our dear friend.
Hello, everyone.
And it does appear that spring is here. Linda and I were just talking about, how about in London town? Are we dealing with spring?
There is. We saw the sun this week, which was amazing.
You know,
it was like really nice.
We laugh about that, but that's like living in Seattle. It's the same kind of thing, yeah?
Exactly. Where Linda lives as well, so she's used to it.
Just a real quick apology to everybody out there who read my last blog post. It was kind of strange, and my wife reminded me that it was a little on the strange side, but that's me. There you go. Did you guys read that last one?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I thought it was cute.
It was a little strange, but that's okay. Hey, welcome to the Pack Podcast as we kind of jump into it on a strange note. I love talking about spring. I love talking the fact that, spring is here, and I'm excited about that. And we have some fun to talk about this time around. We'll jump into that here in just a little bit. Wanted to give a quick shout out to our Patreon folks, our new hires, I guess you might say. Karen Anderson, Amy Chapman, Dorrit Reese, Hannah Scott, Becca Carone, and if I'm butchering anybody's names, I apologize. And then you guys turned me onto this last one here, Shiloh Walker / JC Daniels.
Yeah.
Explain.
She's a romance author, and she also writes an urban fantasy series under JC Daniels. So, hi, Shiloh.
Hello.
Hi, Shiloh.
Hi, Shiloh. Thanks for joining us. And if you'd like to join us too, be sure and check out the Patreon for the Pack Podcast. And gosh, we've got so many people jump in and join, and we are getting ready to. I wanted to explain this here just real quick before we got too deep into it. We've kind of jumped around just a little bit in regards to when we're going to do the Discords and so forth, and we've kind of got it sorted out so that when we release an episode of the Pack Podcast the following Sunday morning, isn't that correct, guys?
Correct, yes.
Yeah, the following Sunday morning, we are going to do the Discord, the after chat, as Linda wants to call it. I like that. It's the after chat. So when a new episode drops, and that's usually on a Tuesday, I think it's the first Tuesday of the month, then the following Sunday, we will try to make sure that we get that into the schedule so that we're all on the same page and jump into the after chat, the Discord chat. And we'll go from there. It works well, guys.
Yeah,
it
does.
Well, hope to see you guys there.
Yeah.
It makes sense as well. This way it makes it much easier, so we all, everyone can join in and it's established and stuff like that.
Yeah. And we've just had that new episode, so it's fresh for, everybody if they've jumped right onto it. So, yeah. Wanted to talk a little bit this time around pack structure. And I think you brought this idea up. Hasna, explain.
One of the things that drew me to the series is how Patty constructed the packs and how each pack was different to another pack. So, and like for instance, I always felt there was parallels with Bran and Adam, but there was also huge differences. And then the glimpses that we see with the other packs with in the Alpha and Omega series, and also with the Mercy series as well, it's really interesting because you've got like packs that are trying to heal. So like Adam's pack, because of the dysfunction and the chaos in the beginning of the series, is now becoming more cohesive and they're working as a team. They're becoming much more healthier because of the changes compared to more of a traditional pack that's still kind of like constrained by, you know, the old traditions and, you know, the old ideas that are not working. And I just thought that was like really interesting because like I love internal politics because that can create so much tension and good storylines and stuff like that.
I tend to agree, and the lovely thing about these stories is that even though it's structured, the pack, especially the pack structure, is always there. When you take a character like Mercy and you throw it into this rigid structure, and the last thing that you want to call her is rigid, because she is about as flexible as they come. She rolls with the punches whenever, and I think that has thrown a bit of chaos into Adam's world, wouldn't you guys say?
She has literally like caused chaos. Like, I think the biggest important event was when she joined the pack, and that's when everyone kind of like went, whoa, what, like, WTF, what's going on? Like, this has never happened before. And like, they were all calling Bran, like, what are you gonna do? This isn't, you know. And then you add to the fact that a few books later you get Hoel, which is like another non-werewolf but like a supernatural being in a canine form into it as well. But it works. They're working as a team, and compared to another pack that's kind of like constrained by those old ideas, they can work. They can work because they've adapted, and those packs won't. But I think that's slowly starting to leach out, and I think Bran knows that.
Well, I think the big issue is that, you know, with the pack through history, the survival of a werewolf depends on the pack, right? You know, there are exceptions to those rules. There are lone wolves, there are rogue wolves, there are wildlings. But the pack is and was a complex social and military hierarchy. And you knew your place, and that kept you safe, right? And so there's magic involved with the pack ranking. So when new magic is injected into a pack, then it affects that. And we see that with Mercy, and we see that with Hoel. So we see that with, you know, I think with the Seattle pack, there's, well, maybe not. I was going to say there's really no movement, you know, with Tom's witch or whatever, but
kind of not seen it so much, so it's like hopefully we'll see that in the future books. I'm pretty sure that we will, because the plot line seems to be leading over to Seattle in both series, so I think that might happen.
What fascinates me here is that Bran's pack and Adam, you know, and this whole pack structure reminds me of, and this is going to sound weird, guys, and bear with me, it reminds me of kind of Harry Potter-ish, where you throw mudbloods into the thing and it makes it stronger. You know, with those kind of characters, you throw a Mercy into it, you throw a Hoel into it, and it strengthens, as opposed to what was it the pack in, was it Hunting Ground, that, you know, where they have to go in and just destroy the pack? Was that, am I remembering that right?
That was
Was it Hunting
pack.
Ground?
No, that was Leo's pack. That was in Cry Wolf, wasn't it? The one that was like rogue.
Okay.
With kidnapping all the werewolves and turning them.
Yeah.
That was
and had to be
Leo's
and
no,
had to be destroyed.
That wasn't Cry Wolf. That was Alpha and Omega Novella. Yeah, and in the background it wasn't even called. But yeah, so he's not Cry Wolf. I always kind of like merged the Novella with Cry Wolf because it's like it to me is like one big story. So yeah.
What, Linda?
And
You're thinking.
No, I've not read Harry Potter, so I don't.
I only read the first book.
I can't speak to that. So
yeah.
Well, it's taking the outside influence, and in Harry Potter's instance, a mudblood is basically father or one of them is magical and the other is not magical. So that's the mudblood kind of thing. But because of the strength of this person not being a purebred kind of person, there's the strengths that they bring in from the outside influence. And that's the way I look at it with Mercy. She's not a wolf, and Joel obviously is not a wolf, but they bring their own magic and power and subtleties, I guess, and strengths to the pack.
Yeah, like there's an interesting scene where it's from Frostbitten, where she sucks up all the silver and then vomits it out from the pack, like in through magical means, and like that is another sign where she's not just like a hindrance to them, like that she's there, she's chaos, but she's there to protect them if she could, and she does it in unexpected and weird ways. And I think the pack is now slowly starting to realize that and appreciate that, but it's going to take time for that because it's so ingrained to them because of the control issues, because they need that rigid structure. If they don't, because it's really hard to contain their beasts without having that.
Yeah,
So
I don't want to actually see Adam's change, because he is changing as an alpha, to affect the other werewolf packs under Bran, because I think that without Bran, without the Marach, then that will definitely be chaos. So I see that Adam is outside of the Marach's territory. He's outside of his influence. But I wonder if that will encourage other alphas to try to do the same and then cause Bran to do a smackdown.
You know what? That's kind of interesting, but like, it's also true that Adam is not restricted by under Bran's rules now. Yeah, he can create his own, and that's going to give him freedom. And in some ways, that's going to strengthen him even more. And there's like, I think there's a hint where I think it was in Winterlost, where he could feel the land around him, this territory, and that was feeding like. And I think that is something where he would not have been able to sense or have that ability if he was still under under control of Bran. So he's gaining power, and like I said, I've always felt there was like these strong parallels between him and Bran. Like they've both got this like inner monster, this beast, other than their werewolf selves. Like Bran is like basically he was known as Grendel, so he's got his own version, and so has Adam. They both got tempers. Like, and if they both lose it, they'll lose it. And they both are very charismatic, and they care for their people, but they also have differences. Like Adam is more open to change, while Bran isn't.
And I think that Bran has his reasons to not be open to change. I mean,
he's old.
Yes, he's old. He's been in charge for a long time, and he's a guardian. He wants the werewolves to survive, and
he's also a zealot. Like Patty has said that he's always a zealot. Like, he is like, he doesn't like a lot of people. He only allows certain people that are close to him. But the one thing that he is so gung-ho about is just protecting the wolves. And I think that helps him to maintain control, I think, as well. That gives him his focus. Because I don't think if he hasn't got that, I think he becomes lost.
Yeah, but I don't ever want to see a time where the two of them are at cross purposes.
Oh, you don't think they haven't been already?
I don't think so. I think that, bottom line is they want the werewolves to survive and to flourish.
Yeah. I get this undercurrent that there is always this little bit. Yes, they love and respect each other for what they are, but I always get this bit of undercurrent, especially, from Bran, that he's kind of keeping one eye open on Adam. I almost see, this is just me throwing stuff against the wall. I almost see at some point in the future, Bran dying and Adam becoming the new Marok.
No, I don't.
See, this is my world that I create.
Yeah.
So.
No, that makes me sad.
No, I know, because you don't want to see Bran dying, but I do see Adam could be the Marok. Like, he could replace, but it'll be in a different way, because... Well,
he could. Out of all of them now, I think he is because the second.
Yeah, because I don't think, like, I know Asil is, like, very dominant, and there's a question if he's more dominant than Adam, but it's not about dominance. It's about being an alpha. Like, what does it mean to be a good alpha? And that's another part of the pack structure. And Charles doesn't want to do it.
No, and Samuel, no.
Definitely doesn't want to do it.
Yeah.
I don't see, even Asil's, like, in the latest book, you'll see hints of him, like, healing from his depression and stuff, and that he's found a new love. But I can't see him.
It takes a certain type of wolf to want to be a leader. I mean, comparatively, we had the Master of the Isles, Arthur Madden, who was, he's the British equivalent of the Marok, who basically killed all the alphas and wanted to be that. In his mind, he was Arthur, right? And then we had John Castiel in the European continent doing the same. They're all for different reasons. I don't see their reasons being the same as Bran's reasons to want to be in that Marok type position. They're for the power of it, not for the longevity of the werewolves under them.
Yeah.
So,
see, I don't think Adam wants to do it, but if it
but he would do it.
He would do it, exactly. I think that makes him a much better alpha than than someone who wants to have that power. It's because they want to use that power for their own agenda. And that is what I think makes Adam a really good alpha.
This is really an interesting topic to look at the power structure. And we were talking politics before we actually started the thing. And, you can look at politics and realize that, there are some people that are meant to be leaders. There are people who want to be leaders and can't lead, and we'll leave that one, alone.
Say that again.
Yeah. No, I will not. But you also have to look at, as you guys were kind of intimating here, you have to look at the the individual pack structure, from the alpha on down, the alpha's mate, going on down to the dominants in the pack, the submissives in the pack, and how each one of them play a crucial role to that overall structure.
And this is what I love, how Patty used that structure. Like the Amiga role, it's like, in some ways being an Amiga is more powerful than being an alpha. But like traditionally in other kind of books, or where they were at the bottom of the pack, but it's not. And I like how she twists that trope. And also being a submissive. Like, if you were a submissive werewolf in the pack, you're avoiding all of that crap. You're avoiding all of that drama, you know, and you actually live longer. And you actually you are cherished and loved and supported, because the other werewolves can trust that submissive, while the others are kind of like jockeying around and like becoming more dominant. And if you don't have a really good alpha to control the bloodshed, because that's another thing that the books do highlight, is that being a werewolf is not easy. Just like being a vampire, there's a downside, because you have to battle that innate instinct of violence, and you lose control, and if you don't have a good control over your of your instincts and the violence, then you'll lose your life over a stupid petty fight.
Yeah, we don't really talk about new werewolves a lot.
Yeah.
We haven't really seen a lot of them past.
It's because the werewolves that we see have already been established and kind of, you know, gotten used to, or like adapted.
Yeah, I think the latest one we saw is Chelsea in the Salt River Pack. So, you know, we've saw I guess the repercussions of what happens with werewolves that can't handle.
Was that Jerry?
Yeah, and also in Mac, in that scene in the garage in Moon Called, where he's like, I don't want to eat that dead body, you know, and like Mercy's like trying to distract him, and then he's like, oh, you look nice and tender, and then Adam comes in, you know, it's like the instincts are there, it's fresh, it's really, really hard. And also Howell is battling his control over his abilities as well.
Yeah, and sorry, it's Jerry's dad, Carter.
Yeah, Jerry's dad,
yeah. So, you know, this whole idea of top-down structure, but what Patty has done is she's thrown the monkey wrench, you know, the spanner into the works with Mercy. You know, she's not. And what other part of this that fascinates me is that do you guys look at Mercy as being really the boss? I know Adam's the alpha, but is Mercy the boss?
Well, I think that, you know, they're alphas together.
Yeah, exactly. Like what Sherwood said, I think it was in Winter Lost. She is, but she isn't. But as a couple, as a partnership, they are like an uber alpha couple.
Yeah,
you know?
they're the power couple. They're willing to learn from each other and change and adapt. Yeah. Which a lot of alphas wouldn't do.
We don't really get that with the other alphas. Like with Leo's pack, you know, in the Alpha and Omega novella, he's trying to save his mate, and even though she's in delusional land, you know, and she is partly why he's doing all of this. He's actually you know, hurting his pack, it's damaging his pack, and it's actually leading to abuse of, you know, the pack members and stuff like that. That's not a healthy pack. That's just like it's horrible. But if you've got a solid part, you know, someone that like you've got a solid mate that you can, you know, rely on and actually kind of have power in themselves. I'm not saying that she's a powerful being, but she has the ability to help and support Adam in many ways that a normal werewolf would or wouldn't, or a human mate wouldn't. You know, Christy was damaging Adam in a lot of ways, I think.
She damaged the whole pack.
Yeah, she damaged the whole
definitely.
pack. Yeah. And I think that is why he never mated her. You know, his wolf did not like her because he knew that she was a damaging influence. So Mercy challenges Adam. She supports him, and he can be with her. He can relax his guard around her, and I think that is one. In some ways, I'll compare them to Leah and Bran. That is not a healthy coupling. That is, and I think Bran is starting to realize that. He uses Leah as a stabling force, but at the same time, he cannot trust her or open up to her. And I think he's now realized that, because if you can't have that full trust and vulnerability and intimacy in a way that is not just about sex, it carries throughout the pack. And I think Adam kind of hints about that as well, because he feels and senses what the other pack members are feeling, and that all feeds into it. It feeds into the bonds and stuff, and there's like a metaphysical element into that. And I think even though they don't have many pack members compared to other packs, because a few members have left in the last few books, even though they're facing all these huge obstacles, like with the Fae, with the vampire, with the human faction and stuff like that, they are really strong now compared to what it was in the beginning or even in the middle of the series. And that's because Adam and Mercy are really, really solid. Even when they were going through the big hiccup with what book was it? Was it Smoke Bitten? Yeah, with their relationship, because they were still working on it. They were still fighting for each other. And
I think if we see issues with the pack in the future, it will be with Daryl. With his need to become an alpha.
Yeah, it's already happening. Like this, last few books, it's heavily hinted. But you know what? I have kind of a funny feeling that he will establish a pack, but it might be kind of adjacent to Adam's, because they keep growing territory.
You don't think that if he establishes a pack that it's not going to be under the Maroc?
I don't think so. I don't think Daryl wants to become under the Maroc. I think.
Well, I don't think he's going to have a choice.
That might be
because that's a slippery slope, right?
I know, but I think that might be the next big fight. You know, because I can't see Daryl wanting to be under Bran, because you got to think about it.
Interesting. Yeah.
Well, I don't think he's going to have a choice.
I know, but I think
Adam's situation is different.
Yeah, but that might be that might be the next conflict, because I can see that tension happening, because I can't see Daryl doing that. I don't know. I just feel like.
Well, I don't think Daryl has that choice.
I know, but
from my perspective.
Yeah, but that could be the conflict though, because you got to think about it. Daryl, they were basically kind of expelled. Yeah. So they're working through a different dynamic, a different system. So you're going to go from that back to Bran, where Bran is dictating, you got to do this, you got to do that.
Well, that's the way of.
I know, but once you've tasted something different, yeah. But
you can taste it.
Yeah, I know, but that's the thing. I think that's the next big conflict to the werewolves. I can see that happening, and it's not like the elements of that has not bled through to other pack members. Isn't there a line where gay werewolves now are becoming more accepted, even when they were still hiding in the closet? That wasn't, so Adam and Mercy are bringing change.
They're bringing change, but they're bringing change within the system.
Yeah, but the system, when it changes, the leadership has to change as well. It has to adapt. There'll be elements, I think, where Adam will do things which Bran will not agree.
Well, yeah, but Adam's pack is not within.
I know, but that's what I'm trying to say.
About it.
I know, but you're thinking.
I just don't see that being something that we'll see in the future, where Adam is collecting packs under. He's a mini Marok, right? Is what you're saying?
Yeah, it could be that, like a satellite version or a spin-off version.
Yeah, I don't see it.
I'm just going to sit back here and twiddle my thumbs for a little bit, ladies.
Like, well, we'll talk to the Patreon members. So, what do you guys think? We're gonna see Adam become a mini Marok in the future, or are we gonna see Bran lock that down?
Look, it's not a coincidence that they are gaining territory. Like, the territory is getting larger and larger and larger with each book, and it's not possible for Adam to maintain that unless there's another pack.
No, I mean, they have a small pack, though.
Yeah, but they're gaining a large territory. Like, even Mercy says, we just claimed this, we just claimed that.
But the difference with, the way that I see the difference with Adam, with how he does it, is there's definitely more of a group of supernaturals in this territory. And within this group of supernaturals, the territory is expanding within that. That's very different from the way that Bran runs things.
Exactly.
You just have to look at this at this group, Adam's pack, as just being a bunch of special people. So just a bunch of special people. We have blown past our time here this morning, and there's so many other things to talk about. I so much wanted to, and so we're gonna have to.
We should talk about women's roles in the pack.
Well, I tell you what, we're gonna do next month is we're gonna talk about moms, which probably will kind of move over into a little bit of that, because I think that's a huge topic. There's so much more I wanted to talk about this. I really wanted to talk about submissives. And that whole place, the omegas, and just
let's bring that to Sunday. Let's bring that to the discussion on Sunday.
Yeah, let's do that. So if you're a Patreon member with I forget the top 2 tiers, you can join the chat. If you want to just send us a note, by all means, just drop us a note and let us know what you think. You're not part of the Patreon or anything. You want to have your say, please, by all means, jump in and let us know what you think. And I think...
I'd like to note that the Patreon is free. And there's a free version, free tier, so you can discuss on the post underneath the episode that will be released, or that will be posted there, so you can interact there on the Patreon site.
By all means, please jump on and let us know what you think, and we'd really enjoy having that conversation. And yes, for those Patreon members, we will discuss this coming up this next Sunday morning. And with that, I think it's about time to kind of get ourselves out of here. I appreciate the conversation, ladies. Hasna?
I was going to say, Fire Touch will be re-released later this year on audiobook. Okay.
Sounds great. Linda, say bye.
Bye.
The shadows are stirring, and our time together has drawn to a close, at least for now. But the pack is never far away. When the moon rises again, we'll be here waiting. Thanks for running with the pack. The Pack Podcast is a Grail Productions show. Copyright 2026. Hearog Incorporated. All rights reserved.